Hey yo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy AOAJ, and I'm back with another video talking about what happened to the Division as a series. I used to play this game, especially the first one. I used to play it a lot, man, and then things just started happen. But before we get into it, man, make sure you share the video with your friends, like, comment, do all that other good stuff, and let's get straight to it. All right, the first Division released March 8th of 2016, and Division 2 released March 15th of 2019. The first division already got criticism simply because, Ubisoft and what they're doing with lying with their trailers of games, because it's early sets of trailers and gameplays and all that other stuff of the game was completely different to the final release. But that didn't bother me too much, simply because it looked like a good game. It still looked like a good game to me, and I didn't play Destiny or anything like that to have a decent looter shooter, in my opinion, because I believe the Division, the first one especially, was a good looter shooter experience for anybody that came up to pick up the game for the first time, or even people that already played Destiny and wondered for a new experience. And this game was really it. At least the first one. It started to go downhill when, I'ma always say this, adding classified gear sets into the Division 1 kind of ruined the game. I could be the only one to stand on that, but I'm gonna stand on that cliff by myself or either with everyone else. Classified gear sets ruined that game. But the game itself, like the gameplay and the game itself, wasn't bad. It wasn't like nothing was over, at least within the middle ground stages, because I came through more or less the middle ground. Classified gear sets wasn't out, but I believe all the DLC was out, so I was more or less that end. I was already in the end type shit, because the first DLC was the underground DLC, and I know that simply because I used to watch the game a lot, and I didn't have a PS4 back then, so you know what I'm saying, I just watched the game a lot and stuff like that. The DLCs for the game could have like kind of saved the game if they added like just something else instead of classified gear sets, because classified gear sets just started to take over the game, and then if you really play, you know exactly which gear set that was. And even with that first DLC or patch or whatever, it came incursions, which really, you know what I'm saying, brought it to really brought, like, I feel like some players to the table, of which, oh, we got some incursions, because the incursions was the in-game activities for basically people that was in the squad. I mean, I guess you could have solo queued to do it, but if nobody knew what they were doing, you're just going to be doing that junk forever, and I know that from personal experience. But yeah, the first incursions came through, and people, I don't know exactly how people reacted to that, because shortly after the first DLC, I stopped watching, and then I had got my PS4 later on. And then after that update, two more updates came out, or expansions or whatever, which was Survival and Last Stand. Last Stand, I think it was basically the PvP game mode. I remember you captured objectives and stuff, like, I think it was basically kind of like domination, and Survival was basically what could have been Battle Royale basically for the Division without them doing it exactly Battle Royale. I feel like this is gonna be another topic for another video, but I really feel like the Division could have kind of went toward a Battle Royale side simply because of how the game is. I could just be the only one thinking that, but I'm just stand on that. I'm gonna stand on that hill as well. But yeah, two more came out, and I don't really know how people had experienced that, but I had all DLC, Underground, Survival, Last Stand. I played Last Stand a lot. I kind of wish people would have played that more, because it's kind of fun when you have people to play with. But that's probably the problem. People didn't have anyone to play with. But all in all, the Division 1 as a gameplay and all that other stuff, I feel like out of 10 was really really about a 7 or 6.5. It wasn't all that, but in my opinion, I love that game. I really spent a lot of time within that game with me and my friends when we played it a lot. But to everybody else, it is what it is. Classified gear sets ruined that game. That's kind of why they made the Division 2. to be honest. Because before the meta, when I first got into it, there was kind of really no meta, in my opinion. Because I don't know if anyone remember the bullfrog before that became an exotic weapon. That was actually a high end weapon beforehand, in which I got it when it was a high end, and I'm gonna assume that just explains of when I kind of got into the game, and I forgot that one gear name, but it was a chess piece with an X on it, and that was also high end as well. That kind of I mean, if people know, that kind of explains at what state of the game I was in and what meta was the meta. But honestly, there was no hard meta when I was playing. Strikers, Nomad, Technician, Predatory Smart. That's what I use. And what's the last one? I forget. But the Division 1 is a game. It was cool. It was decent. You know what I'm saying? People wanted another one because Classified Gear Sets was ruining the game and all the other ones. And then they dropped the Division 2. Hey, man, I was really excited for the Division 2 as well. But Division 2 came out March 5th. I already said this earlier, but March 15th, 2019. And I was really excited for this game as well. I was watching all the gameplays. I was making sure to get on top of things, how gameplay was going to be on this and that. And then it honestly came out. I mean, I guess it kind of came out. At first, it kind of came out strong to me, in my opinion. I liked it. I like what I was playing and all this, all this and that and all this. I'm having a fun time. I made it to level 30 in like probably like 12 to 16 hours in the game. I was playing that game real hard. But one thing about the Division 2 was the PvP. And the PvP in games is really what kind of makes me want to play it. And if it's not really a story-driven game, but looter shooters usually don't have good stories, except for Destiny. I can make an exception to Destiny, but usually looter shooters or any type of game really doesn't have that much good of a story. So, which meaning I'm not paying attention to the story or anything like that. That's not what I got the game for. I got the game for mostly its multiplayer and what's gonna come after. The multiplayer for the game wasn't as good as the first one. The PvE aspect, though, yes, I love the PvE and how I ain't gonna say necessarily how the AI had less health, but more sustainable health, or where I can melt them quite quickly instead of like the first one. When you played the hardest difficulty, you could play the hardest difficulty on either one of it. In the Division 2, you're just gonna fly by easier, simply because they're more. Everyone's squishy. Everyone is kind of squishy, but then the enemies on the Division 1, they was real hard to bring down. Well, not necessarily hard to bring down, but it took a good minute for you to bring down the enemy on the Division 2 than the Division 1. I mean 1 then 2. My bad. But when it came to end game for the Division 2, there was hardly anything to do, simply because I got through it so fast. There was hardly really anything to do. No incursions, no anything of good nature. The Dark Zone was just trash, simply because the PvP in the game was trash. But then they was mostly supposed to release things in episodes, or the episodes. Like the first one, Battle for DC. The second, well, not the first one, but Invasion was Battle for DC. Episode 1 for this DC outskirts. Episode 2 is the Pentagon, and episode 3, the Coney Island. All that dropped, and even still, the game to me didn't really live up to its expectations from the first one. I was so disappointed because I was literally so excited to play this game as well. Having a second division game sounded like a good thing to have to everyone, even to the people that played the first one, and it sounded like a good thing to have, but in reality, it really wasn't. The game came out. I mean, it started off good for me, but as you kept playing, you realize it was honestly not like the first one. The first one had good PvP, even decent PvE. When you just had the right build, you can really melt through those enemies. Had decent PvE and had like a plethora of incursions you can have. And even after the paid DLC for do things, you still honestly had things to do, like go to the Dark Zone or even do incursions or replay missions. especially that one mission that you got that chest piece that I was talking about earlier with the X on it. You had to repeat a certain mission every time to actually even get that. So you had things to do, but the second one just didn't. And I feel it just does not live to the expectations as its predecessor. And that's why this game is just dying as well, because I try, as you see the gameplay in the back, I'm playing, you just don't realize how long it took me to actually even find players. On the first one, I could start up any incursion mission and I will find people. I was finding people. But it actually took me so long to even get this. And I almost thought about scrapping the video simply just because I couldn't find the gameplay to even run in the background. But that's all I had to say for about this game today. Make sure you share the video with your friends, do all that good stuff, and I'll catch y'all boys later. Peace.